Welcome to the Bare Essentials Podcast, where the talk is real and hibernating on your goals is not an option.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Charles Wallace. Today, over 3,200 people in the United States alone will attempt suicide. Unfortunately, for many, this will be the final decision they make in this life. For others, they may get help, but for the rest, they will continue to suffer in silence as their lives are enveloped by the darkness of despair, until one day they scream out for help by attempting suicide again. Today's guest has suffered in silence while experiencing that darkness in his own life, but now he is looking to shine light so that those struggling can see their way through the darkness. He's training to become the oldest man to play NCAA D1 college football, and he is doing this as a way to let others know that they are worth it. Their lives matter. They are not alone. So let's welcome Ian Hill to the show. Hi, Ian. How are you?
How are you, sir? Thank you very much. I appreciate being on your show, and great job. I've watched a number of episodes, and they're inspiring and motivating and really provide people solid information. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Ian, to have a guy like you on. We were actually talking a bit before it started, and I think, me, what we're here to do is to help and hopefully inspire others and put the content out there. And, when I read a little about you, I was excited to try to help get your story out there to people because you are a guy that makes people want to be better. So with that, Ian, maybe give a brief introduction of yourself.
Well, yeah, so I'm a business guy like many, an entrepreneur, and started a number of different projects and initiatives. And at about the age of 50, I walked downstairs and told my family I didn't want to live anymore. Now, what's interesting about it is I literally had just been nominated as Social Innovator of the Year in Canada, even though I wasn't a Canadian citizen. We were doing projects all across North America. Kraft Foods and Kool-Aid were my partners in my charity, in my family charity. And life was seemingly awesome and amazing. And people were telling me regularly that I was changing their lives, and I was being given keys to the city and was receiving all kinds of awards for cool things. But the bottom line was I was broken and hurting, and I felt like my life had no meaning and no worth and no value. And on a regular basis, I was telling myself that I was a piece of shit, excuse my language. And who can explain, the human mentality? And from that moment of telling everybody that loved me that I didn't want to live anymore, I went on a dark journey. And I experienced what many in our society, our friends, our family, our coworkers, our neighbors are experiencing today: depression and a bunch of other issues that stem from my childhood that I thought I had dealt with, but I hadn't. And I literally was trying to figure out how I could take my own life on a daily basis without negatively impacting people. What I didn't realize is I was already negatively impacting people. My brokenness, my despair manifests itself in all kinds of very destructive ways. And eventually I just self-sabotaged my companies in Canada and the United States. I self-sabotaged all the charities. I self-sabotaged it all because I didn't think I was worthy of life. And so these patterns and cycles repeated themselves, and it hurt a lot of people around me. And so at one point I realized that I didn't want to die. I just didn't want to live like this. And so I started seeking, what the hell's wrong with me? Right? Why? How can I have these great moments of success and people telling me I changed their life, but then go back to my hotel room and curl in a ball and cry because I think I'm not worth anything? What the hell? And I realized as I began to talk to people and Zoom with people and phone calls and meetings and research, I started to realize that there are patterns of thinking, patterns of communication, and patterns of behavior that become deeply ingrained in us. And at some point in childhood or early adulthood, maybe those patterns served us well. They protected us, or they kept us safe, or they kept us out of harm. But then as we mature and we grow, those patterns aren't relevant anymore. They're not effective, and they're not patterns that serve us well. And so I had to change those patterns. And I had to make an all-out commitment. And that wasn't a direct line. That wasn't an easy journey. It wasn't like, all of a sudden you start it and then hockey stick, right? And then success. It was up and down and all around. But now we've gotten to a place where health and wellness and a bunch of different strategies have brought me to a place where I'm good. And when I came out of that, I said, I'm going to kick the shit out of depression. Try to take me out. Cost me a lot. So I'm going to go try to save 1,000 men. How can I save 1,000 men? And I thought, well, I broke a world record a couple of years ago, about 5-6 years ago. I'd given the world's longest speech. That's why this segment is so long, because I just talk on and on and on. So I gave the world's longest speech, 51 and a half hours. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll just break another world record. And then I thought, well, what world record? What would give me a reason to wake up every morning? What would give me structure? What would force me to eat right? What would force me to be in the gym? What would force me to have a focus? What would force me to push myself regularly and build my esteem and self-worth? And as a young man, although I had a very challenged childhood, tragically like many in our society, sports saved me. Sports gave me structure. Sports gave me purpose. Coaches touched my life and changed my life. And I thought, you know what? I'll go be the oldest man to play college football. It'll engage men. It'll inspire men like me, because I came to learn that middle-aged men are 70% more likely to take their own life than any other segment of the population. And so I started training. And then I called a guy named Chris Rubio, #1 long snapping coach in the country. Actually, I sent him a note, an email at 11 o'clock at night. Sent him an email. Hi, I'm trying to be the oldest man to play college football. Will you coach me? Now think about it. He coaches NFL long snappers. Half the guys in the NFL are his guys. And he says, he sends me a note back like right away. What? And I sent him clarifying and sent him some information. He's like, we better get on the phone. And the next thing you know, the #1 long snapping coach in the country is coaching me every day. And then Dr. Connor Hogan in Ireland, top performance, peak performance psychologist, neuroscientist. He's like, I'm in too, man. I'll meet with you every day, 5-7 days a week. And I'll reprogram your brain so you can be a peak performer. And the next thing you know, we were doing it, and off we go. So long-winded, I know, but that gives you the backstory of what we're doing. And most importantly, the why behind it is I don't want anybody else to feel alone or feel the pain. And I want people to realize that all things are possible. And yeah, you lost your business in the pandemic and you're 59 years old and you think there's no way to turn it back around because you got $400,000 of debt. And what are you going to do now as a restaurant owner? Where are you going to go get a job? Every rep and every set and every snap, I think to myself of that guy who right now is saying, it's impossible. It's not impossible. I'm going to do this as an example to you that all things are possible and that you can overcome your challenges. I'm not a tremendous athlete. I was an average athlete in high school. So that was I'm 56. I'll be 57 when I play. We can do these things. You can overcome your current circumstances. History tells us that. And so that's the why, and that's the what of what we're doing.
Wow. That is absolutely incredible to me, because I think the one thing I want to get across to the audience is that when we think of mental health as men, I mean, honestly, Ian, you don't look the picture of what I think someone would look at, and your exterior, right? You don't look like somebody that they would go, oh, that guy has had mental health issues or problems. I mean, I think the best way I can say it, I told you before we started, you legit, you come across as a badass. I would never look at you and go, yeah, no, like, honestly, I wouldn't look at you and go, yeah, that guy probably had mental issues. Yeah. And for middle-aged men, myself just turning 50, I think the other thing that we think about is, why is it more likely for middle-aged men our age, to maybe think about suicide or have mental health issues? I think it sometimes is about, we think more about the end. And I think we have to start looking at it as, yeah, it is the end. It's the end of what we thought our life was. And it's the beginning of the rest of our life, that we can make anything happen. And you, my friend, are living proof of that. And I can't wait to follow this journey along the way, to watch what you're doing, because on the podcast, we talk a lot about mindset, fitness, things like that. So besides obviously the topic is a little bit darker, right? Suicide, mental health, but there's a component here I want to get across from Ian. And let me just tell you, Ian's on the West Coast. So as of now, it's like not even 5:30 a.m. So
come on, Philly. Come on, Philly. Right? Let's get it.
he practices what he preaches. So Ian, let's get into a little bit of that. So you decide, sure, first thing you talk to Coach Rubio, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure though, there's a whole, let's just get into now, what at 56 years old you were putting yourself through to make this happen?
Well, the first thing I had to do was figure out what the hell were the barriers, right? So there were barriers. And what I learned was the concept of neuroplasticity. Now I got to tell you, none of this stuff was evident to me. I had heard it pieced in pieces and okay, whatever. That's not true. Neuroplasticity. I knew it because that's how you teach yourself to be successful in sports, right? You do something over and over and over and over, and the neural pathways open up to your foot and you can kick the ball. Or the neural pathways open up to your arm and you can hit a backhand. And you do it over and over again, and that creates the skill. Well, then I started to realize, and I was taught by a number of different experts who were kind and considerate enough to actually talk to me, that we do the same things in our brain about our patterns of behavior, our reactions, as I mentioned earlier. So the first thing I had to do was start to unwind that. I had to repattern or rewire my brain. And I took to doing that. Reading books, watching YouTube videos. I'm going to tell you right now, to all of your viewers and listeners, the University of Google is a hell of a tool, man, to go out and learn whatever you want to learn. Every piece of information in the history of mankind is available to us at our fingertips. So we started that journey. So I knew I had to get up every morning and I had to set my mind. And that meant I had to take an inventory of who I was, because who I thought I was a piece of crap. Well, that's not true. I'm not a piece of crap. 70 billion people have lived on the planet, and there's only one of me. Never been anybody like me, never be anybody like me, never been anybody like you, never be anybody like you, which means that you're a rare and unique creature. I have tremendous value. So that was step one. I had to realize and come to terms with the fact that I had tremendous value. But because it was so deeply ingrained that I was a piece of crap, I had to remind myself of that every single day. Before I started anything else, before I looked at my cell phone, before I opened up my search engine, before I listened to crap on television, radio, whatever, I had to set my mind that I was a rare and unique creature. And that started usually at 4:30 in the morning. And then whether you call it meditation or you call it prayer, whatever, okay, 4:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the morning, I'm gonna set my mind right. And then I knew I had to get in the gym. And this was before Coach Rubio came on board. I knew I had to get in the gym. And this is your story. The guy who loses 75 pounds. Like, what the hell, right? You knew intuitively, and I'm bending over to tie my shoe and I got to hold my breath. Okay, we got to get something done around here. And you started on the journey of wellness and health. Well, when we turn 49, 50, 53, 54, our testosterone goes in the tank, bro, in the tank. So there's hormonal, so there's mental going on, there's hormonal going on, and then there's life circumstances going on that move us to, what in the hell is wrong with me? I can't do what I used to do, blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay, one, I got to get my mind right. Two, I got to get in shape. I got to get in shape. I got to get in the gym. It'll build my esteem. It'll build my self-worth, and all these messages of failure. Because to be honest, at that point, I had failed. I had screwed up. So I knew that I had to get in the gym, consistently in the gym, building my self-esteem by moving a weight, by moving a weight, by moving a weight. So now I'm starting to work on rewiring my brain. Then I'm going to get myself fit. And then I realized I better do something about my nutrition, what I was putting in my body. So although I don't necessarily a big fan of him, I said, what the hell makes Tom Brady look like he looks? Like, what in the world? Anti-inflammation diet. And then I realized that Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, and many other high-performing athletes that were doing so at an older age, they were doing something that made common sense. Don't inflame your body. Don't put stuff in your body that makes your body fight your body. All right, let me clean it up. Let me eat some avocados, right? I'm not to the point where I'm doing avocado shakes, but eat a couple avocados, eat some berries, eat that fish, stay away from that red meat, and just make those changes. Move away from that gluten, move away from that processed food. And in a very short period of time, my mental clarity was back. In a very short period of time, I had a positive attitude again. In a very short period of time, just those three things: set my mind every morning, make sure I'm getting in the gym and getting some fitness going, or out in the field, or taking a walk, or biking, whatever a person's choice might be. And then what am I consuming? What am I putting in me? Those three choices then began to move me, and self-esteem started to build. And I started to become that dude that won those all awards again, and made those 7 things that had never been done before. I started to be that guy again. And that's when I knew, okay, I'm ready. Now let me get real. Today, I train 2 to 3 times a day. I'm in the gym. I'm on the field. I'm in the gym. I do my mental training with with Dr. Hogan. That is now, we're not 7 days a week anymore. We're between 3 to 5 days a week. I've got Kirk Sanderson. He's put a number of different guys in first-round draft choice. He's a phenomenal performance coach. He takes care of my physical capacity. And, he has first-round draft choices, this guy, both in MLB and NFL. I have the top people in the world. And you know what? Every one of them donating their time. Every one of them giving of themselves. Every one of them saying, we don't want men to hurt. We don't want anybody to hurt. Every one of them saying, we'll jump on board with this crazy idea and we'll invest in this dude. So that took me another bump. These guys are going to invest in me. I must be worth something. And so, to be frank, this was not about a journey to save other people's lives. This is a journey to save my own life. I had to take these steps to save my life. And then it became about, okay, if I'm going to do it, I might as well invite people to join me. Come on along. Come be with me. Come and hang out with me. And let's do this together, because training is always easier when you got people to train with, right? And that's how we find ourselves here today.
Yeah. And I mentioned to you when we started, even for myself and my own journey, when my wife started to go along the journey, also health and wellness, losing weight, it became so much better for me and easier for me. And I think it's just natural that it inspire you inspire each other, right? My wife and I, we inspire each other. And I think in your case, people getting to see where you were. I think that's the big thing too. It's about where someone like you, lesser extent, someone like me, where we were, shows people that, oh, other people are there. They think they're alone. That's the number one thing. People naturally think they're the only person who's experienced that or is going through that right away. That isn't true. So you're showing that. And now again, you're showing, like, with work, determination, other people's willingness to help, what can be done. And it's,
I think the universe joins you, right? The universe joins you once you start momentum. I think there is something about momentum. Literally, I had to focus on the next 5 minutes, because when I was trying to rewire my brain, thoughts would come into my brain. Oh, see, you're a piece of crap. Oh, see, your daughters don't want to talk to you. You're so much of a piece of crap that your daughters don't want to talk to you. And then you say, well, you're right, then I should just end. I mean, this is silly. Why am I doing this? I am a piece of crap. And so it's taking that under control and saying, okay, for 5 minutes, I'm going to do something productive. For 5 minutes, I'm going to do something productive. For 5 minutes, I'm going to do, okay, now it'll be 10 minutes, and then it'll be 20, and then it'll be a day, and then it'll be 3 days, and that'll be 5 days. And so for some, like me, it starts way back to that granular turnaround. The good news is that once we pick up that momentum, things start to happen. And, you know, whether you believe in the hand of divine providence or you believe in cosmic coincidence, I don't know. I just know that all of a sudden people show up because people are attracted to that energy. Look at this guy, like you. What, this guy, I'm sure there was people in your life that are like, wow, you look great. Wow, you look amazing. Can't believe you lost all that weight. And hope was created. And I've now learned that hope comes when we see or hear somebody else do the impossible or the implausible or the improbable. We get hope. Like, whoa, what? Oh, maybe I could take on my challenges. And this speaks to what you're doing. But that's usually not enough, because then people go back to their normal hell and they're like, well, that was really a cool YouTube video of that, you know, that wrestler at Arizona State University that has no legs. And look at, he won the NCAA championship, but he's not me. And okay, so that spark of hope goes away. But when we learn how that individual does it, and that's the beauty of what you're doing with this vehicle, as you are sharing how people accomplished amazing things, you and others accomplished amazing things, people are like, oh, that's the formula. So they get some hope, and then they learn the formula. And then finally, hope comes when someone will then walk with us over a period of time. Rubio, Dr. Hogan, Kirk, my business partner, Jeff Dudley, my lovely girlfriend, walking with me over a period of time. So those three things are what create hope. So you and your wife and your circle of friends and influence are gaining hope as they are watching you lose 7,500 pounds, launching this podcast. They're like, check Charles, man, that boy is kicking ass. Oh, wait a minute, maybe I could do the same. So my hope is that we'll use that formula in this circumstance, that we'll go play college football and somebody will be like, what in the world? This guy's playing Division I. Look at him snap that football, go down, cover a punt, hit somebody, fumble the ball, pick it up, run it in the end zone. Now, I know that seems like fantasy, but every morning, that's what I visualize every morning. Not only snapping the ball, covering the punt, hitting a guy, fumble, pick up, touchdown, and then, wow, hope. And that's, I think, you know, that's what it really embodies the show that you're doing. And now that I've watched a number of episodes, you're giving people hope.
Yeah, and Ian, the other thing I wanted to talk about today was, I agree with you. And what I've learned over the past few years, especially, and through the podcast is, and you touched on it some, is that this is a vehicle, what you're doing, we can try to help give people hope. But I also right now, and you're living proof of this, I don't want to sugarcoat it either. Ian mentioned it. Hope is kind of the spark. But this is so much about developing a mindset. And, you know, I don't, listen, I'm a 50-year-old guy. This is as best I can say. This is, you have to have the mindset of a damn savage. Like, you have to be willing every day to fight yourself and fight against yourself so that you will do what is necessary. And Ian, I'm sure at your age now, like, you're doing it, but let's talk about what that involves as far as, like, I know, because I go through it too. I know you don't feel great every day. I know there's days you get up and you don't want to do it. Like, well, but like, you're probably even experiencing, as we speak, some type of nagging injury, right? So I don't want to sugarcoat it. Let's give some real talk to people now also about what it takes, what you're signing up for.
I have an AC joint strain. I had a stress fracture in my foot. I have a pelvic floor injury right now that basically is the injury that only pregnant women, when they have a baby, enjoy. I mean, not enjoy, but you know what I mean. And my body hurts like hell. Now, I will say though, eating the right stuff, putting the right things in my body reduces that inflammation. And so the effects of some of the training that I'm doing are mitigated. The negative effects of the pain and the hurt and the soreness are mitigated between my nutrition, my hydration, the shakes, the berries, all that kind of stuff. So yes, it is challenging. There is no doubt about it. It is absolutely challenging. But I will say this, that endorphins flow, man. It's a chemical release that happens in our brain when we do something that invigorates us. And that doesn't have to be trying to be the oldest man to play college football. It could be taking a hike. It could be taking a walk. I think to speak to what you're asking me more directly, the problem is the mental side. That guy who comes back and walks in to your brain and says, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I'll be honest, this happened literally 15 minutes before we got on. That guy walked into my head and he's like, "Are you shitting me? You're going to go talk to people about what you can do and how you can do it and this and that." No, bud, I fucking own you. You're a piece of crap. You're always going to be a piece of crap. And so you're going to get on this podcast and say a bunch of junk, and then you're going to crash and burn like you always do. So you might as well just not even go. Cancel, buddy, because you're a joke. I mean, that's literally 15 minutes before we started. And what helped me is I've now visualized that individual as a person. And I just had to say to him, "Hey, man, you don't belong here anymore. Get the hell out of my brain because you don't belong here. No, I own you. Get the hell out. You have no control over me. You have no more right to be here. Get the hell out of my brain." And so I think it's that piece for me that's the most challenging piece, is every day setting that mind right. And when that guy tries to come back into my house, I have to kick him out. And every time now gets easier and easier and easier to kick him out. Well, it's funny, when I stood up to him, when I pushed back hard on him, he just disappeared like mist. I mean, he just went away. Now, just me explaining it that way makes me sound a little off. I get it. I understand that. But that's the way I'm coping with it, right? I think everybody copes with it in a different way, but that's how I'm coping with it. I've made it a real person. I've made it tangible, because then I know how to deal with it. And so that's the reality, that this thing is not an immediate. For some, it will be a daily exercise for the rest of their life. But my mental illness, Charles, doesn't mean I have a lack of mental capacity. My mental illness does not mean I have a lack of mental capability. And it certainly doesn't preclude me from doing amazing things. And if there was one thing I would want your listeners to hopefully thoughtfully consider, I just lay it at their feet. Your mental challenge is not unique. You think it is, like you said earlier, because we isolate, right? But as soon as you talk about it, as soon as you share it like this, as soon as you say, "Yeah, you know what? That guy comes in my head every once in a while," it's free. You're not hiding anymore. Mental barriers are a reality. For whatever reason, in today's day and age, they've been exacerbated. Seems to be a lot more. We all need to rally to support one another through those difficulties and equip ourselves with the tools and resources to help us be mentally strong and create deep resilience. The reality is, it's effing hard, dude, but it's worth it, because the world's only better if we're here.
Yeah, that's very poignant, Ian, and I couldn't agree more. So I'm just going to ask, what schools? I'm sure there's a ton of schools like hot and looking hot on your trail, right? Like
there are. I will say this: there are been a ton of schools that are incredibly supportive. Like, I talked to an assistant head coach of a D1 Power 5 school.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great conversation. And at the end of the conversation, he says this: "We are so excited to be supporting you." And I thought it was going to be, "So why don't you come and give us a little tryout? We're doing a camp for prospects, junior college prospects, on this date at this time." That's where I thought he was going. So I was getting all hyped. He goes, "We are so excited to support you. And we will be cheering as you move to your vision and your goal." I was basically like, "Yeah, buddy, we're for you, but not here." So this is all fine and dandy, Charles, but I got to play football.
Mm.
Like, be able to snap a football in 0.75 seconds back to the punter. I need to be able to run down a field and take on 225-pound middle linebacker who also plays on the special teams that can run a 4.5 40 and squats 400 pounds and benches 225 14 times. I got to take him on. So everyone's incredibly supportive. But when the rubber meets the road, they want to know if you can play football. Because coaches get fired. Because they're in the winning business. Yes, they're in the business of building young men, but ultimately they get hired and fired based on their winning record. They're not in this for charity. But there have been 3 schools that have expressed interest in having me at least try, come to a prospect camp, and have said we're open to the concept. University of Idaho, Coach Eck at the University of Idaho, Coach Miner at Campbell University, which is in North Carolina. And then we've been in some discussions with coaches. I actually had a conversation with a coach yesterday at the University of North Alabama in Florence, Alabama. These are Division FCS schools, right? So they're Division I schools. And they've all said, hey, we're down. If you can actually do what you say you can do, then we're down at giving you a shot. We have the hurdle of the NCAA, which has been incredibly supportive, but still the institution that agrees to have me has to apply for an exemption for me to have eligibility. I've got to enroll. It's like Rodney Dangerfield going back to school. So I got to go to school for a semester, right? I got to put my life on hold, go to school for a semester. And then I got to go play every day and earn a spot. And if you're a coach that's watching this right now, hey, I'm coming to help you win a national championship, man. I'm coming to try to play, not be a charitable effort that everybody goes, oh, look, the old man's going to go in and break the world record for 1 snap. Yay, look at him. That doesn't inspire anybody. The only thing that will inspire a man who thinks he should take his own life is if I go play and actually contribute to a team winning a conference or winning a national championship or competing at the highest level. So yes, there have been some schools that have expressed interest, and those 3 I'm very thankful for.
That's, I've been intrigued by this whole thing. And then the way you just said it about now I didn't even think about having to go to school, put your life on hold, right? That just adds a whole other element to it. I
got to tell you a funny thing now. I got denied. I applied to a school that had expressed interest, and they denied my entry because academically I wasn't strong enough. I mean, and it was wonderful because I went right back to being a high school kid, man, who couldn't read, dumb as a rock, all kinds of special classes, and I just deflated. I wanted to quit. I literally just sat. I was on my way from Saratoga, New York to LaGuardia. And I was talking to this academic advisors and counselors, and they were very kind. They were like, but you just don't meet our academic. We want you, but you don't meet our academic standards. And I just pulled over the side of the road and I just said, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to go through people telling me I'm not smart enough. And then I had to navigate through that, right? I had to navigate with that guy coming in my brain telling me, see, you're a piece of crap. You're not even smart enough to get into a school. So yeah, this is the real deal, man. It's not a thing where you're just going to go snap a football one time and then, thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Woo, finger guns. It's not that. Like, you got to go do the gig, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, they all better watch out because, listen, I think what I've experienced now, and I think you'll attest to this and agree with this, is I've gotten older. It's more about, I may not be able to do something for as long as I used to be able to do it, but I'll tell you what, for 30 seconds, a minute of that athletic endeavor, you're gonna get somebody that's extremely explosive and strong with old man strength. But then I'll probably hit the wall for stamina, but I'm sure it'll be that way for you.
I got to tell you, one of the things that when I've talked to these experts of high performance, physical high performance, what they tell me is, hey, you're not gonna have some of the qualities and attributes of these young men, but you do have a couple advantages. And one of those is strength. Old man strength is a real deal.
Real.
Strength, my ability to perform at 80% for a longer period of time than perhaps a younger man. So instead of trying to go for a ceiling, just raise my floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really been the mindset. Whether it's in my testing of my bench and my squat or my 40 time, things of that nature, or just snapping the football. And then really, and I think this is something that I would, again, ask your listeners and viewers to thoughtfully consider. What do I have? What do I have that's unique and different that I can bring to the party? I have something. So in my situation, I'm a proven leader. In my situation, I've won national and international awards for doing things that have never been done. In my situation, I can bring some maturity to the locker room. I can bring value. As you're bringing value, you've tried to figure out a way that you can bring value. I'm going to do a damn podcast. Never done a podcast in my life. Didn't go to journalism school. I'm in the medical profession. I'm just going to do a podcast. And immediately you were bringing value. So whether we want to call it self-limiting beliefs or barriers that we put up, set those aside, look introspectively at what value we have to bring, and then start bringing it on a regular basis. So that's what I'm saying to these coaches. Hey, man, I can bring significant value that an 18, 19-year-old kid can't bring. Obviously, they have value they can bring, but I can bring some significant value to your program. And I have some differentiating factors that make me unique, and I can help you win a national championship. And so I think that's a good lesson for just our everyday experience when we don't get the job, when we get rejected by a lady or our loved one or someone that we want to have a relationship with. When those negatives happen, we say to ourselves, wait a minute, man, I have something of value. I have something to bring to the party. And I have to say this. If you're a person that's hurting and broken right now, and you don't think there's any opportunity or hope, seasontosavealife.org. seasontosavealife.org. If you go to that webpage, you're going to learn about what we're doing. But one of our partners organizations is Heads Up Guys, phenomenal program out of the University of British Columbia. And it's designed exclusively for men. Tools, resources, little quizzes you can take to find out if you're just having a bad day or if you're depressed. Incredible platform for you to get help, and a directory of docs, both tele and face-to-face, that can assist you. So if any of what we're talking about right now is resonating with you, headsupguys.org, headsupguys.org. Go get some help. Or just go to Google in your local area. There's groups, there's doctors, there's programs available to you to assist you and support you. And if none of that works for you, 775-298-1014, 775-298-1014. That's my cell phone number. Just call me, dude. I'm not an expert. I'm trying to still make it. But if you need someone, there's no one in your sphere that will talk to you or give you the support you need, give me a call, man. I got you. I'll walk with you. And if nothing else, I'll listen, right?
Ian, that's amazing. And I was going to set you up to bring that message out. And
that's all right. I took it. I took it. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, that's awesome. So everyone, please, I'm here trying to bring people to you all that you'll be inspired by, that you'll learn from. And Ian just mentioned it. I say this all the time. I personally am just an average to below average guy who is trying to help make a difference. People like Ian are people who are trying to inspire and make a difference, and, seek people like this out. Look to make yourself better every day. And if you need help, any mental help, Ian just gave out his damn phone number here on the air.
Come on.
Hopefully he'll be getting thousands of calls, because thousands of people will see this episode. And, Ian, hopefully besides those phone calls, hopefully there's a college football coach out there somewhere who hears this and decides to give you a call also. So, Ian, thanks so much. I'm going to definitely keep an eye out for what you're doing. I greatly appreciate your time today. I enjoy doing all my podcasts, but this one was definitely a bit more special. I had a lot of fun. So thanks for that, Ian. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Take
care.
This has been the Bare Essentials. Thanks for listening. And remember, never hibernate on your goals.